Hey, it's me, Crystal, and today I'm going to show you how to make this macrame leaf or feather wall hanging with crystals. You'll need a 12-inch dowel. It's about a ½ inch in diameter. You're going to need 8 pieces of cord that are 76 inches long, and you'll also need 26 pieces that are 10 inches long for your fringe, and this is 5mm single strand cotton. And you'll also need some crystals or whatever you want to put on yours. These are about 2 inches long. And I'm using some wire to attach the crystals, and this is 24 gauge copper wire. You can buy this at any craft store. And then you'll just need some pliers and wire cutters to attach the wire to your crystals, and you'll also need some sharp scissors and a comb or a brush for your friend. To start, you're going to take one of your long pieces of cord, fold it in half, and then you're going to take the looped end and you're going to put it over the dowel and then bring it around and bring the ends through to make a lark's head knot. Then you're going to go ahead and repeat that with the rest of the 8 long cords, so they're all attached and lined up on your dowel. Once you get them all attached, I recommend securing your dowel to your workspace somehow. I'm using duct tape. And then you're going to take the 2 center cords and you're going to cross the left over the right. And then we're going to do 1/2 of a half, or 1/2 hitch, not a double half hitch. Just 1/2 hitch going towards the right, and that's going to go right in the center. And that's going to be the point of our little diamond here on the top. Then the 2 cords coming out will be our filler cords. And we're going to tie some double half hitch knots going down and to the right. So take that next cord to the right, and then you're going to tie your first double half hitch knot. If you don't know how to tie a double half hitch knot and you want a really good thorough tutorial for that, I have a video and a blog post that will tell you everything you need to know if you're a beginner. And I'll link that down in the description and possibly up in the corner of this video. But you're just going to repeat that. There's the first double half hitch, and then grab your next cord and do the next one. And you just want to make sure you're holding your filler cord at the angle that you want the row of knots to be, so it's nice and straight. And remember, you're tying the double half hitch knots around the filler cord. Sometimes that helps visualize it if you're new. It can be a little confusing at first. Now we're going to tie the row going down and to the left. So you're going to find that first cord that's sticking out of that row. It'll be our filler cord. It'll be the 8th cord over from the left. And then you're going to tie a row of double half hitch knots going down and to the left this time. And you'll just want to keep the angle of the filler cord the same as the one on the right, so it looks nice and even. When you're doing double half hitch knots on this side, I find that my cord wants to come untwisted whenever I'm using the single strand cord, so it works better if I twist the cord sometimes whenever it starts to do that. So you'll start to see me twisting the cord before I tie the knot, just to make sure it's twisted up nice and tight. And it makes your knots look neater that way. When I was first doing macrame, I didn't understand that at first, and I really got frustrated with single strand cord because sometimes the knots would be really messy. And I've just found over practicing over time that that little trick makes a huge difference. And I only have to do it on certain directions. The other direction, it naturally stays twisted. So just a little tip there if you're new. To start the second row, we're going to do another just half hitch in the center. This time I crossed the right over the left, and then I tied one half hitch knot around that left cord, around the cord that I'm holding to the left, and just get it right up there in the center. And then once that is centered, those two cords coming out of it will be your filler cords for the left and right rows. So then I'm going to start back on the right side and do my double half hitch knots going down into the right, and just make sure you get it right up next to that first row. Try not to leave any space, it'll look neater that way. And just repeat that going all the way down with each cord until you get all the way to the right. Whenever you get to the end of the row, you won't use that filler cord that we used from the previous row to tie a knot. So you'll end up with a total of 6 double half hitch knots going down into the right, not counting that first little half part that we did at the beginning. Now back over on the left side, you're going to grab that middle filler cord and then tie 6 double half hitch knots going down and to the left. Just make sure again to get it right up there next to the previous row of knots. That way it'll look really nice and neat. Alright, now we're going to take that same filler cord we just used and we're going to tie a row of 6 double half hitch knots going down and to the right to make the left bottom of our diamond. And just try to keep the angle of your filler cord about the same as the top part of the diamond so it looks nice and even. Now back on the right side, grab that second cord from the right and use that as the filler cord to tie 6 double half hitch knots going down and to the left to meet up with the other side. And then once we get down there, we will connect the two sides of the diamond with one last double half hitch knot. Cross the left center cord over the right and then tie one last double half hitch knot going down and to the right, and that will close up the diamond. Alright, moving on down, we're going to take these 2 outer cords on both sides and set those aside, and we're not going to use those for the other parts of the diamond. And then you're going to go ahead and grab that same filler cord to continue that row that we just finished. And you're going to tie 5 double half hitch knots going down and to the right. And just make sure you keep the filler cord that same angle so it looks like it's just continuous from the previous diamond. That row just continues on. And it'll look really nice that way. Grab the 6th cord from the left. You're going to use that as your filler cord to tie 5 double half hitch knots going down into the left. And again, we want this to look continuous from that row on the top diamond. So just make sure you're holding the angle so it's going in the same direction or the same angle as that other row. Take that same left filler cord and use that to tie 5 double half hitch knots going down into the right. And back over on the right, use that right filler cord to tie 5 double half hitch knots going down into the left. Now to connect the two sides, we're going to cross the left center cord over the right center cord, just like we did in that previous row or previous diamond, and then tie 1 double half hitch knot going down into the right, and that'll connect those two sides. We just wanted to kind of continue that same pattern for the next diamond. And then again, we're going to scoot down a bit. We're going to take the two outer cords off again, and then repeat that whole pattern again, same thing. So you take that same filler cord, and this time you're going to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down into the right. Then take the 4th cord from the left and use that as your filler cord to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down and to the left. Now take the left filler cord and use it to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down into the right. Then use the right filler cord to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down and to the left. My diamond looked a little wonky here on the right, but that's okay. I just moved it around and then it looked fine. So if yours does that, it is fixable. And then you're just going to take that left center cord, cross it over the right, and tie one last double half hitch knot going down into the right to connect the two sides of your diamond. And then we just have one more row to do. So we're going to take that left cord and use that as the filler cord to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down and to the right. And again, make sure you get it right up next to that last row. Then take the right cord and use that to tie 3 double half hitch knots going down and to the left. Then to finish it off, you're just going to tie one more knot right in the center, going down and to the left. And that concludes the knotting portion of this. So now we're going to work on the fringe. First, I took these cords that we skipped earlier and I cut them down to about 5 or 6 inches long. And then I took one of my short pieces of cord and I'm going to attach them to these sections here with lark's head knots, or actually with cow hitch knots because it's reversed. So you loop it and you bring it up underneath and then bring the ends through, and that will make a cow hitch knot, which is a reversed lark's head knot. And that way you don't see that bar that is at the top of a lark's head. Kind of makes it look like double half hitch knots, I think, from the front. And you're going to repeat that, and I attached 4 up here at this top section. And then you'll do the same thing over on the other side. And then we're going to attach 5 in the section here in the center. And then here on the bottom section, we're going to add 4 pieces on each side. And then I'll do the other side, and there we have all the fringe attached. And now that we got the fringe attached, we're going to need to brush it out, but first I'm going to trim off some of these longer pieces. There's a few pieces that are a little bit longer than the rest, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. No sense in wasting my time brushing all that out when I'm just going to cut it off anyways. And now is the fun part. It takes quite a while, but we're going to brush this fringe out really, really good. I recommend using one of these pet brushes. It really does a good job. And once you get it brushed out really nicely, I recommend using some stiffening spray. This is Eileen's Stiffen Quick Spray. And I'm just going to spray all of the fringe. You could also use like a starch like you use for ironing or something like that. And I'm going to let that dry, and meanwhile I'm going to wrap my crystals before I attach them. So here's one I already did, and I'm about to show you how I did it, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to wrap it like this, so it's pretty securely wrapped in the wire, and it will stay attached and not come off later. And to do that, you're going to take 2 pieces of wire that are about 10 to 12 inches long. And you're going to take them and twist them in the center about 5 or 6 times to get them really good and attached right there in the middle. And then we're going to take our crystal, we're going to stick the wire on the front of the crystal, kind of towards the bottom. Then you're just going to kind of hold it there with your thumbs like that, and then take the bottom 2 wires on either side, on the right and the left. I'm kind of pulling the top ones up, and then you're going to pull those bottom ones kind of down, and you're going to hold them on the back. You're going to want the wire to be down near the bottom so that it catches the crystal so it doesn't slide out. And then twist it 5 or 6 times so it's really well twisted together. And this can be a little fiddly at first because everything's kind of moving around on you, but it will get better, I promise. So I twist it really good like that, and then bend it up towards the back of your crystal like this. And you see how it's kind of, it's on the bottom, but it's not, it's in a spot where it will catch the crystal so it won't slide through. I hope that makes sense. And this will all depend on the shape of your crystal, by the way. And then the top 2 wires that we have up here, I'm bringing them up And I'm going to twist them really good up here on that top part. You see how the shape of my crystal kind of tapers here on the top, so that gives me a good spot to put the wire so it holds everything in place. And then I'm pushing that down towards the center, making sure everything's lined up how I want, and then pushing those so they're pointing towards each other. And then we're going to bend those ends in the middle here so they're sticking out like that. Okay, and then we're going to twist them together until they're secured like that. And then the last thing we're going to do to make it so it doesn't just kind of hang there limply on your wall hanging is we're going to push them down, and then we're going to bring the ends up underneath the wire. So here's the ends. We're going to bring it up underneath here and here. So you'll take the right piece and just thread it up underneath the wire like that, and then pull it up, and then do the same thing with the left side. And this will just make it lay better on your wall hanging so it's not kind of drooping. And then take the bottom ones and do the same thing going under the bottom wrapped wire part there on the bottom of the crystal. Pull that through and then do the same thing on the left. All right, there we go. And then I do twist them a little bit just because it seems like a good idea, the top and the bottom sections, and then those are what we're going to use to attach it to the wall hanging. There we go. So that is how it looks, and here's the two of them done, and I'm going to do the same thing with my third crystal. I'm not going to show you that one because it's exactly the same thing, but I'm going to do the same thing with this guy, and since they're all shaped similarly, it works well for this shape of crystal. And now we're going to attach them, and here I'm on the top diamond, the larger diamond, so I'm going to go around 4 strands in the center because this crystal that I'm attaching is pretty chunky, and I figured it would be good to have a little extra support. So it depends on how big your crystal is, if you want to go around 4 or just go around 2 strands. And then I just threaded the wire through, and then I'm twisting it on the back to attach it. And there's the top section. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom 2 wires around the same 4 center cords. And if your crystals are kind of heavy like mine, they might lay a little funny at first, but I promise it will look fine in the end. And here I'm doing the center diamond, and like I said, I'm going around just the 2 cords in the center because this crystal isn't quite as big. That first one was pretty pretty chunky, and it was kind of heavy, so I wanted to give it a little extra support. But this one is fine for just 2 cords, so I'm going around the 2, wrapping the wire and twisting it really, really good. All right, there's the center one, and then we're going to do this last one on the bottom. And again, I'm just going around 2 cords, and this is a smaller diamond, so you have to kind of fit it in there. But you're doing the exact same thing, just thread it through, flip it over, and twist the wires really, really good to close them up. All right, and then I took my needle nose jewelry pliers, and I'm twisting the ends of the wire around just to get so there's no dangerous pokey wire ends sticking out, even though this will be on the back side and it'll be on the wall. I just like to do that just in case. I have kids, you know how it goes. So now we're gonna finish the fringe. Here's how it looks right now. I just brushed it out again, and the Stiffen Quick has dried a bit. And I'm gonna cut up the sides here in a nice feather leaf shape. And I'm not using any templates or anything. I'm just completely eyeballing it. And this will probably take a little bit if you are a perfectionist. There's a lot of brushing, rebrushing, recutting, but just do it until you're happy with it. and then your wall hanging will be complete. Here's my finished wall hanging, and I'll link a tutorial down below of how to attach a hanging cord using the constrictor knot like I did here. But I just love this wall hanging. I hope that you do too, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I hope to see you again next time, and thanks for watching!